Emma Chen was not like other company bosses. At 35 years old, she ran a tech company worth billions of dollars. But most people had no idea what she looked like. Emma liked it that way. She never wanted to be famous or have her face in magazines. She believed that good work should speak for itself. Emma's company, Data Flow Solutions, made software that kept data safe in the cloud. Many big companies used her products, and they worked very well. But while her company grew bigger and bigger, Emma stayed in the background. She let other people in her company talk to the press and appear at big events. She focused on making the best products possible. One day, Emma's marketing director, Jason, came to her office with a worried look on his face. "Emma, we have a problem," he said. "There's a big networking event this weekend on Victor Blackwood's yacht. We need you to go." Emma frowned. Victor Blackwood was one of the richest investors in the tech world. He was famous for his parties on his huge yacht, but also for being very hard on people who wanted his money. Emma had avoided meeting him for years. "Can't you go instead, Jason? You know I don't like these fancy events," Emma said, looking down at her simple clothes. She was wearing plain black pants and a blue sweater, with no makeup and her hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Jason shook his head. "I'm sorry, Emma, but Victor asked for you personally. He says if the CEO doesn't come, he won't consider investing in our new security system. We really need his money for the new project." Emma sighed deeply. She knew Jason was right. The new project was very important, and Victor's money would help a lot. "Fine," she said after a long pause. "I'll go, but I'm not buying new clothes or changing how I look just to impress some rich people." Jason looked worried again. "Emma, this is going to be a very fancy party. All the women will be wearing expensive dresses and jewelry. Then they'll spend more money than me," Emma said with a small smile. "I'll be myself, or I won't go at all." 3 days later, Emma stood at the dock, looking up at Victor Blackwood's yacht. It was huge and white, gleaming in the sunshine. It must have cost more money than most people would see in their whole lives. Emma felt her stomach tighten with worry. She was carrying a small overnight bag and wearing the same kind of clothes she always wore: simple black pants, a clean white blouse, and flat shoes that were comfortable for walking. All around her, other guests were arriving. The women wore colorful designer dresses that probably cost thousands of dollars. They had perfect hair and makeup, and diamonds sparkled at their necks and wrists. The men wore expensive suits and watches that cost more than cars. A tall man in a white uniform approached Emma. "May I help you, miss? Staff entrance is on the other side." He looked at her simple clothes with a hint of judgment in his eyes. "I'm Emma Chen. I'm a guest," she said quietly, showing him the invitation on her phone. The man's eyes widened a little. "Oh, I apologize, Ms. Chen. Please, come aboard. Mr. Blackwood's guests are gathering on the upper deck." As Emma walked up the gleaming stairs of the yacht, she could feel people looking at her. Some seemed confused, others slightly amused. She heard whispers behind her. Already, she was feeling out of place, but she reminded herself why she was here. This wasn't about her. It was about her company and the people who worked for her. She would endure this weekend of discomfort for them. Little did Emma know that this weekend would change everything, both for her and for everyone who underestimated her. Emma stepped onto the upper deck of the yacht and looked around. About 50 people stood in small groups, holding glasses of champagne and laughing. The sound of soft music played in the background. The yacht was moving slowly away from the dock, heading out to sea. Emma took a deep breath and walked toward the bar. She asked for a glass of water. The bartender gave her a strange look, but handed her the water without saying anything. As Emma turned around, she nearly bumped into a tall man with silver hair and a deep tan. "Well, hello there," the man said, looking down at Emma with curious eyes. "I don't believe we've met. I'm Victor Blackwood." He held out his hand. Emma shook it firmly. "Emma Chen, thank you for inviting me, Mr. Blackwood." Victor raised an eyebrow. Chen. From Data Flow Solutions. When Emma nodded, Victor looked surprised. I expected someone different. I get that a lot, Emma said with a small smile. Before Victor could say more, a woman in a red dress called his name, and he excused himself. Emma was left alone again. She walked to the edge of the deck and looked out at the ocean. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky with beautiful colors. "Excuse me," a sharp voice said behind her. Emma turned to see a woman with perfect blonde hair and a tight blue dress. "Are you lost? The staff areas are below deck." The woman was smiling, but her eyes were cold. "I'm a guest," Emma said calmly. "Emma Chen." The woman's smile didn't change. "Oh, how interesting. I'm Vanessa Williams, CEO of Style Tech. You should meet my husband, Brad. He's been looking for new investment opportunities." She waved to a man across the deck. "Brad, come meet." Emma, was it? Brad Williams was tall with perfect white teeth and a golden tan. He looked Emma up and down quickly. "Hello there," he said, not offering to shake hands. "What brings you to Victor's little gathering?" "I run Data Flow Solutions," Emma explained. Brad's smile grew wider. "Oh, you work at Data Flow. Great company. Is your boss here too?" "I'd love to meet him." "I am the boss," Emma said quietly. "I founded Data Flow 10 years ago." Brad laughed loudly. "You're joking. Isn't Data Flow worth like billions now?" He looked at his wife, who was also smiling like this was all very funny. Emma just nodded. She was used to this reaction. "Well," Brad said, still smiling, "how about you get me another drink, and then you can tell me all about how you run such a big company." He handed Emma his empty glass without waiting for her answer. Emma stood frozen for a moment, holding Brad's glass. Some nearby guests were watching now, some looking embarrassed, others amused. Emma considered throwing the glass overboard, or maybe telling Brad exactly what she thought of him. Instead, she simply placed the glass on a nearby table. "Excuse me," she said, and walked away. For the next hour, Emma tried to start conversations with different groups of people. Each time, the same thing happened. People would look confused when she introduced herself. Some would ask if she was someone's assistant. Others would simply ignore her and keep talking to each other. At dinner, Emma was seated at a table far from Victor Blackwood. The people at her table were talking about their vacation homes and private jets. No one asked Emma any questions or tried to include her in the conversation. When dinner was over, a man in an expensive suit stood up to make an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said loudly, "Victor has arranged for dancing on the main deck. But first, he wants us all to introduce ourselves and say a little about our companies. We'll start at the head table and work our way around." Emma felt her heart beat faster. Soon, everyone would have to listen to her. Maybe then, they would stop treating her like she didn't belong here. But as people started introducing themselves, Emma noticed something strange. The staff were clearing tables, and they were getting closer to her. One of the waiters leaned down and whispered in her ear, Mr. Blackwood says the staff don't need to participate in the introductions. You can help clear the dessert plates." Emma felt her face grow hot with anger and embarrassment. She stood up from her chair, ready to set things right, when suddenly the yacht hit a large wave. Emma lost her balance and fell forward, knocking over a tray of chocolate desserts. The fancy treats splattered all over her white blouse and black pants. People gasped. Then someone laughed. Soon, many people were laughing as Emma stood there, covered in chocolate, in front of everyone. Chocolate dripped down Emma's white blouse as the laughter around her grew louder. Her face burned with shame. For a moment, she couldn't move or speak. Then a voice cut through the noise. "That's enough." The room fell silent. Victor Blackwood was standing at the head table, his face serious. He walked over to Emma and handed her his own clean napkin. "I apologize for my guests' poor behavior," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Accidents happen to everyone." He turned to the staff. Please show Ms. Chin to her room so she can change. Emma nodded her thanks and followed a young woman in uniform out of the dining room. She could feel everyone's eyes on her back as she left. In the hallway, she took a deep breath, trying to calm down. Your room is this way, miss, the staff member said kindly. My name is Lily. I can have your clothes cleaned if you'd like. Thank you, Lily, Emma said quietly. Once inside her room, Emma changed into her spare clothes. Another simple outfit, this time gray pants and a navy blue top. As she washed her face with cold water, she looked at herself in the mirror. Maybe I should just leave, she whispered to herself. This was a mistake. There was a soft knock on her door. When Emma opened it, Lily was standing there with a man she hadn't met yet. Ms. Chen, this is David Torres, Mr. Blackwood's assistant, Lily said. David was a serious-looking man with kind eyes. Ms. Chen, Mr. Blackwood would like to speak with you in his private office, if you're feeling up to it. Emma thought for a moment, then nodded. Lead the way. David took her through several hallways to a beautiful office at the back of the yacht. The walls were made of dark wood, and a large desk faced the ocean through big windows. Victor Blackwood was sitting in a leather chair, looking at some papers. Ah, Emma, he said, standing up when she entered. Please, have a seat. Can I get you anything? Tea. Something stronger, perhaps. Water is fine, Emma said, sitting down carefully. Victor poured her a glass of water himself, not calling for staff to do it. Then he sat across from her. I want to apologize again for what happened at dinner. Emma took a sip of water. It's not your fault. In a way, it is, Victor said, surprising her. I created this environment. Too many people here care more about looking rich than being smart. He studied her face. You're not what I expected, Emma Chen. What did you expect? Emma asked. Victor shrugged. Someone who acts like they're worth billions. Someone who wants everyone to know it. He leaned forward. Why do you keep such a low profile? Most CEOs in your position would be on magazine covers. Emma thought about her answer. I believe in the work, not the fame. I started my company to solve problems, not to become famous. She paused. Besides, when people don't know who I am, I learn a lot about them. Like tonight. Victor laughed. That's very clever. He stood up and walked to the window. The tech world is full of people who talk big but deliver little. You seem to be the opposite. Emma didn't know what to say. Was this a compliment or another test? Tomorrow, Victor continued, we'll be stopping at a small island for a beach party. Most of these people will be too hungover to notice much before noon. He turned to look at her. I'd like to have a real conversation with you then, about your company's new security system. Emma felt a small spark of hope. Maybe this trip wasn't a complete disaster after all. I'd like that. As Emma walked back to her room, she felt a little better. At least Victor Blackwood seemed to see her value. But as she passed by the main deck, she heard voices. Curious, she stopped to listen. Did you see her face when she fell? It was Vanessa Williams' voice, covered in chocolate like a child. Victor only helped her because he felt sorry for her. A man's voice added. There's no way he's going to invest in whatever little company she claims to run. I bet she's not even really a CEO, another woman said. Probably just an assistant who got invited by mistake. Emma's hands tightened into fists. The small bit of confidence she had gained in Victor's office faded away. These people would never see her as their equal. As she turned to leave, she bumped into someone standing in the shadows. It was David Torres, Victor's assistant. From his face, Emma could tell he had heard everything too. Don't listen to them, he said quietly. They talk that way about everyone. He hesitated, then added, but I've seen your company's work. Dataflow's security systems are the best in the world. Emma gave him a small, genuine smile. Thank you, David. Get some rest, Ms. Chen, David said. Tomorrow is another day. As Emma finally reached her room and closed the door behind her, she wondered what tomorrow would bring. More humiliation, or maybe, just maybe, a chance to show these people who she really was. Emma woke up early the next morning. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky with soft pink and orange colors. She put on her running clothes and quietly left her room. Exercise always helped her think clearly. The yacht was quiet. Most of the guests were still sleeping after staying up late drinking and dancing. Emma found her way to the upper deck and began to run in place, then did some stretches. As she exercised, she watched the sun rise over the water. The yacht was approaching a small island with white sandy beaches. "You're up early," a voice said behind her. Emma turned to see Victor Blackwood, also dressed in exercise clothes. He looked different without his fancy suit. "I always wake up early," Emma said. "It's a habit from working long hours." Victor nodded. "Same here. Mind if I join you?" They exercised side by side for a while without talking. Then Victor pointed to the island ahead. "We'll be docking there in about an hour. It's a private island with great swimming and diving spots." "It looks beautiful," Emma said. "Most of these people won't even see it until afternoon," Victor said with a small laugh. "They'll be too busy sleeping off their hangovers. Maybe we can have our talk about your company over breakfast instead." Emma nodded. "I'd like that." After they finished exercising, Emma went back to her room to shower and change. She put on her swimming suit with shorts and a t-shirt over it. She didn't have fancy beach clothes like the other women would have, but she didn't care anymore. At breakfast, only a few people were awake. Emma and Victor sat at a small table away from the others. Emma told Victor about her new security system idea while they ate eggs and fruit. "The problem with most cloud security systems is that they only react after an attack starts," Emma explained. "Our new system can predict attacks before they happen." Victor listened carefully, asking smart questions. Emma could tell he really understood the technology, unlike many investors who only cared about making money. "I'm impressed," Victor said when she finished. "Your team has solved problems that much bigger companies haven't been able to fix." Emma smiled, feeling proud of her work for the first time since coming on this trip. After breakfast, the yacht docked at the island. Victor had to talk to the captain about something, so Emma went to the beach alone. She found a quiet spot and sat down to watch the waves. After a while, she decided to swim. The water was clear and warm. Emma was a strong swimmer, and she swam far out, enjoying the peace and quiet. When she came back to shore, more guests were awake now. They had set up chairs and umbrellas on the beach. Servers were bringing them drinks with little umbrellas. Emma walked past them, ignoring the looks they gave her wet clothes and hair without makeup. As she passed one group, she heard Brad Williams talking loudly. "My company is about to buy out our biggest competitor," he was saying. "They don't know it yet, but they'll have no choice. We found a security hole in their system that we can use against them." Emma stopped walking. Was he talking about blackmail? That was illegal. "Which company?" someone asked Brad. "TechGuard," Brad said proudly. "They think their security is so great, but my team found a way in. We're going to steal their client list and then threaten to release their private data unless they sell to us at half price." Emma felt cold despite the warm sun. TechGuard was one of her company's clients. They used Dataflow's older security system. If there was a hole in it, she needed to fix it right away. She was about to walk away when Brad spotted her. "Well, look who it is," he called out loudly. "The chocolate-covered CEO. Come join us, sweetie. We're talking business. Real business." Everyone in his group laughed. Emma stood frozen, her mind racing between the humiliation and the serious problem she had just discovered. What should she do now? Emma stood still as Brad and his friends laughed at her. She had two problems now: the way these people treated her, and the serious security issue with her client's system. Her mind worked quickly, and she made a decision. The security problem was more important than her hurt feelings. Actually, Brad, Emma said in a clear voice, I'd love to hear more about this security hole you found. She walked closer to his group, ignoring their surprised faces. Brad looked confused for a moment, then smiled. Well, interested in real business after all. Too bad I don't share trade secrets with whatever small company you said you run. Emma sat down in an empty chair near them. What if I told you that the security hole you found might not be as useful as you think? Now Brad looked annoyed. What are you talking about? TechGuard is one of my clients, Emma said calmly. If there's a problem with their security, I should know about it. Brad laughed loudly. Your clients? Please. TechGuard is a major company. They don't work with nobodies. Data Flow Solutions is hardly a nobody in the security world. A new voice said. Everyone turned to see Victor Blackwood standing behind them. In fact, Emma's company is the leader in cloud security. Brad's smile disappeared. Victor, we were just having a friendly chat. I heard, Victor said coldly. And I heard something about planning to blackmail TechGuard. That's not only illegal, Brad, it's stupid. Especially when the person who designed their security system is sitting right here. The group went quiet. Everyone looked at Emma with new eyes. You designed TechGuard's security? Brad asked, his face growing pale. My company did, Emma said. And while our older systems might have some weaknesses, we also built in special protections against exactly the kind of attack you're planning. This wasn't completely true, but Emma needed time to warn TechGuard and fix any problems. She stood up and looked directly at Brad. If you try to hack TechGuard, our systems will trace it back to you. There will be clear evidence of your crime. She paused, but I didn't hear anything. Maybe you were just talking big to impress your friends. Brad's face turned red with anger and shame. You're bluffing. You can't be that important. Look at you. What about how she looks? Victor asked sharply. Brad struggled to find words. I just meant, she doesn't look like. Like what? Victor pressed. Like someone smart enough to build a billion-dollar company. Like someone who cares more about substance than appearance. He shook his head. I think you've said enough, Brad. Victor turned to Emma. I need to speak with you privately. Now. Emma followed Victor away from the beach and back toward the yacht. Her heart was beating fast. Was Victor angry that she had caused a scene? Would he still consider investing in her company? I apologize for Brad, Victor said as they walked. He's been like that since college. More confidence than brains. It's fine, Emma said. I'm used to people underestimating me. Victor stopped walking and turned to face her. That's their mistake, and it gives you an advantage. He looked serious. Now, tell me the truth. Is TechGuard really vulnerable? Emma sighed. I don't know. Our older system does have some weak points that we've since fixed in newer versions. TechGuard hasn't upgraded yet. Then we need to act fast, Victor said. Do you have your phone or laptop with you? Emma nodded. In my room. Good. Get what you need and meet me in my office in 10 minutes. We'll set up a secure connection so you can warn TechGuard and start fixing the problem. As Emma hurried to her room, she felt something new. For the first time since coming on this trip, she felt respected. Victor was treating her like the expert she was, and he was helping her protect her client. But as she grabbed her laptop, Emma remembered something else Brad had said. His company was planning to buy TechGuard. If Brad's company was Style Tech, which Vanessa had mentioned running earlier, then this situation was even more serious than she thought. Emma hurried to Victor's office with her laptop. Her mind was racing as she thought about TechGuard and the danger they were in. When she knocked on the door, David, Victor's assistant, opened it right away. Ms. Chen, please come in. Mr. Blackwood is ready for you, David said politely. Emma noticed he was treating her with more respect now. Inside the office, Victor was on the phone. He held up one finger, asking Emma to wait. Yes, I understand. Thank you for the information. He hung up and turned to Emma. That was my assistant in New York. She confirmed that Style Tech, Brad and Vanessa's company, has been trying to buy TechCard for months. Emma nodded as she set up her laptop. TechCard doesn't want to sell. They're doing well on their own. Exactly, Victor said. But Brad and Vanessa are not the kind of people who take no for an answer. Emma connected to the internet and began typing quickly. I need to check if there really is a security problem at TechGuard first. Then I'll contact their CEO. Victor watched her work. You know their CEO personally? Michael Lee. Yes, we went to college together, Emma said without looking up from her screen. He's the one who became my first client when I started Dataflow. Victor raised his eyebrows, looking impressed. You have friends in high places. Not friends like yours, Emma said with a small smile. No luxury yachts or private islands. Victor laughed. Those aren't friends. Those are business connections. There's a big difference. Emma worked silently for a few minutes, her fingers moving fast over the keyboard. Then she frowned. This is not good. Brad wasn't lying. There is a security hole in TechGuard's system. It's in the older version of our software that they're using. Can you fix it? Victor asked. Yes, but I need to warn Michael first. Emma picked up her phone and dialed a number. After a moment, she said, Michael, it's Emma Chen. We have a serious problem. Emma explained the situation to Michael while Victor listened. She told him about the security hole and about Brad's plan to hack TechGuard and force them to sell their company. I can send you an emergency update right now, Emma said, but you need to install it immediately. Emma worked on her laptop for another 20 minutes, creating a special update for TechGuard's system. Victor watched her, asking smart questions and offering help when needed. Emma was surprised by how much he knew about computer security. Done, Emma finally said, hitting a final key. The update is sent, and Michael is installing it now. She leaned back in her chair, feeling tired but relieved. You just saved your client's company, Victor said. Not many CEOs would work this hard during what's supposed to be a networking vacation. Emma shrugged. My clients trust me to keep their data safe. That's more important than any vacation. Victor studied her face for a moment. You know, I've met hundreds of tech CEOs. Most of them care more about looking successful than actually helping their clients. He smiled. You're different. You care about the work itself. Before Emma could answer, there was a loud knock on the door. David opened it, looking worried. Mr. Blackwood, there's a problem. One of the local fishing boats is in trouble near the island. Their engine died, and they're drifting toward the rocks on the north side. Victor stood up quickly. Have the captain send our rescue boat. The captain says it will take at least 20 minutes to get the rescue boat ready, David said. The fishing boat might hit the rocks before then. Emma closed her laptop and stood up. How far is the fishing boat from shore? About 100 yards, David answered. But the water is rough near those rocks. Emma walked to the window and looked out at the sea. She could see the small fishing boat in the distance, moving slowly but steadily toward the dangerous rocks. I can help them, she said firmly. Victor looked at her with surprise. What? How? I'm a strong swimmer, and I know engines. I worked my way through college fixing boats at the marina. Emma was already walking toward the door. I can swim out there and maybe fix their engine before they hit the rocks. That's too dangerous, Victor protested. The current is strong near those rocks. Emma paused at the door and looked back at him. Sometimes you have to take risks to help others. Then she hurried out, heading toward the deck. Emma ran to the side of the yacht where she could see the fishing boat clearly. It was a small old boat with peeling blue paint. A family was on board. A man, a woman, and 2 small children. They were waving their arms for help as their boat moved slowly toward the sharp rocks. Without hesitation, Emma kicked off her shoes and pulled her shirt over her head, leaving just her swimming suit. She heard people gasping behind her. Many of the yacht guests had gathered on the deck to watch what was happening. "What is she doing?" someone asked. "Is she really going in the water?" another voice said. Emma ignored them all. She looked at the distance to the fishing boat, took a deep breath, and dove into the water. The sea was colder than before, and the waves were bigger near this side of the island. But Emma was a strong swimmer. She kept her head down and moved her arms in powerful strokes. The family on the boat saw her coming and called out to her. Emma couldn't understand their language, but she knew they were afraid. The father was trying to push the boat away from the rocks with a long pole, but the current was too strong. When Emma reached the boat, she grabbed the side and pulled herself up. Her arms were tired, but her mind was clear. She pointed to herself and then to the engine. The father nodded quickly and showed her the small engine at the back of the boat. Emma examined it carefully. The problem wasn't hard to find. A wire had come loose, and water had gotten into part of the engine. Using her hands and some rags the father gave her, Emma cleaned the water out. Then she reconnected the loose wire and tightened some bolts that had come loose. "Let's try it now," she said, even though they might not understand her words. The father turned the key, and the engine made a noise but didn't start. Emma checked a few more things, then found another problem. The fuel line was partly blocked. She cleared it with a thin piece of wire from her hair, then gestured for the father to try again. This time, the engine roared to life. The family cheered, and the mother hugged Emma tightly. The children jumped up and down with joy. The father quickly turned the boat away from the rocks and headed toward the safe side of the island. From the yacht, people were watching in amazement. Emma saw Victor standing at the rail, nodding with approval. Even Brad and Vanessa looked shocked. As the fishing boat reached the safe beach, Emma dove back into the water and swam to shore. She was tired now, but happy. She had helped save that family. When she reached the beach, the family ran to her. They hugged her and thanked her in their language. The mother gave Emma a beautiful shell as a thank you gift. Victor walked up to Emma and handed her a towel. "That was incredible," he said. "You risked your life to save those people." Emma wrapped the towel around her shoulders. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Victor said seriously. "They wouldn't. Everyone on my yacht watched, but no one else offered to help." By now, many of the other guests had gathered on the beach. They were looking at Emma differently now. There was respect in their eyes, and some shame too. "How did you know how to fix the engine?" someone asked. Before Emma could answer, Victor put his hand on her shoulder. "Everyone, there's something you should know about our guest." His voice was loud enough for all to hear. "This is Emma Chen, founder and CEO of Data Flow Solutions." Whispers spread through the crowd. People looked confused and surprised. "Data Flow," one man said. "The security company worth billions." "The same company that just got a government contract last month?" another asked. Victor nodded. "Yes, and the same woman you all mistook for staff and treated poorly since she arrived." He looked around at the embarrassed faces. "I think we owe Ms. Chen an apology." Emma stood quietly, still dripping with seawater, as the crowd of rich and powerful people stared at her with new eyes. The tables had turned, and now they were the ones feeling uncomfortable. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sounds were the waves hitting the beach and the happy voices of the fishing family as they checked their boat. Emma stood in her wet swimming suit with the towel around her shoulders, looking at the surprised faces of the yacht guests. Brad Williams was the first to break the silence. His face was red with embarrassment. I had no idea," he stammered. "Ms. Chen, please accept my apology." Emma nodded but said nothing. She was thinking about how quickly people change when they learn about power and money. Vanessa Williams stepped forward next. "We've been horrible to you," she admitted. "I'm so sorry." One by one, the guests came up to Emma to apologize. Some looked truly sorry, while others seemed more worried about what Victor Blackwood would think of them now. Emma accepted each apology politely, but without much emotion. Victor watched it all with a small smile. When everyone had spoken, he said, "Perhaps we should return to the yacht for lunch. Emma, you might want to change into dry clothes first." As Emma walked back toward the yacht, she heard footsteps behind her. It was David, Victor's assistant. "That was amazing," he said quietly. "The way you saved that family." "Thank you," Emma said. "But I think people are more impressed by my company's value than by helping others." David shook his head. "Not everyone. Mr. Blackwood was watching you before he even knew who you were. He told me last night that he was impressed by your quiet confidence." This surprised Emma. "Really? Even when I was covered in chocolate dessert?" David laughed. "Especially then. He said you handled the embarrassment with grace." Back on the yacht, Emma changed into dry clothes and went to the dining room for lunch. When she entered, everyone stopped talking and looked at her. Then, to her surprise, they started to clap. Emma felt her face grow warm. Victor stood up and raised his glass. "To Emma Chen," he said, "who reminds us that true worth is not about what you wear or how you look, but about your actions and your character." Everyone raised their glasses. Emma nodded in thanks and took an empty seat at Victor's table. She was sitting between Victor and a man she hadn't spoken to before. "Ms. Chen," the man said, "I'm James Peterson from Secure Investments. We've been looking for a new security provider for our banking clients. I'd love to talk to you about data flow services." Before Emma could respond, another guest came to their table. "Emma, I hope you'll forgive my rudeness earlier. I'm Rita Santos from Global Tech News. We'd love to feature you in our next issue about women in technology." Throughout lunch, more people came to talk to Emma. They asked about her company, her background, and her ideas. They treated her with respect now, the same respect they had not given her before they knew who she was. Emma answered their questions politely, but part of her felt strange about the sudden change. These were the same people who had laughed at her just yesterday. After lunch, as people moved to the upper deck for coffee, Victor pulled Emma aside. "You don't seem very happy about your new popularity," he said. Emma sighed. "It feels fake. They only care now because they know I'm successful." Victor nodded. "That's true for some of them. Business is often like that. People value power and money more than character." He looked directly into her eyes. "But that's not why I'm interested in working with you." "No?" Emma asked. "Then why?" "Because you built something remarkable while staying true to yourself," Victor said. "That's rare in this world, and it's exactly the kind of person I want to invest in." Emma felt a genuine smile spread across her face. For the first time since coming on this trip, she felt truly seen for who she was. As they walked to join the others, Brad Williams approached them, looking nervous. "Ms. Chen, Victor," he said quickly, "I need to speak with you both. It's important." His face was pale. "There's been a situation with TechGuard, and it involves Style Tech, my company." Emma and Victor exchanged looks, then followed Brad to a quiet corner of the deck where they could talk privately. "What's happened?" Emma asked, suddenly worried about her client. Brad looked nervous. He kept running his hand through his hair. "Our tech team tried to access TechGuard's system this morning, before I knew who you were. Now they're saying their computers are locked. All their data is frozen. They can't work." Emma's eyes widened. "Your team tried to hack TechGuard even after our conversation on the beach." Brad nodded, looking embarrassed. "The attack was already planned. I couldn't stop it in time." He looked at Victor, then back at Emma. "But now Style Tech is the one in trouble. The security update you sent to TechGuard not only blocked our attack, it somehow traced it back to us and triggered some kind of countermeasure." Emma couldn't help smiling a little. "That's the special protection I mentioned. When someone tries to break into our client's system, our software can identify the attacker and lock their computers temporarily." "Can you fix it?" Brad asked desperately. "Our company will lose millions if we can't get our systems back online today." Emma thought for a moment. She could let Brad and his company suffer for their illegal actions. That might feel good after how they had treated her. But was that the right thing to do? "I'll help you," Emma finally said, "but only if you agree to 3 conditions." Brad nodded quickly. "Anything." "First, you sign a paper saying Style Tech will never try to hack any of my clients again," Emma said firmly. "Second, you drop all plans to force TechGuard to sell to you. And third, you make a large donation to a program that teaches computer skills to kids who can't afford their own computers." Victor smiled at her third condition, clearly impressed. Brad looked relieved. "Yes to all 3. I promise." Emma got her laptop and worked for about an hour. She sent special codes to Style Tech servers that would unlock their systems. When Brad got confirmation that it was working, he thanked Emma again and again. As the sun began to set, Victor hosted a special dinner on the yacht's main deck. Emma was given the seat of honor next to him. Everyone treated her with great respect now. Some were just being polite because they wanted something from her. But others seemed to have learned a real lesson about judging people by their appearance. During dinner, Victor stood up to make an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to share that I will be investing $100 million in Dataflow Solutions' new security system." He looked at Emma with genuine respect. Under one condition, that Emma Chen remains exactly who she is, a brilliant leader who values substance over style. Everyone clapped and cheered. Emma felt a mix of emotions. Pride in her work, satisfaction at being recognized, but also a strange feeling of sadness for all the people who were overlooked every day because they didn't fit someone's idea of what success should look like. After dinner, Emma stood at the rail of the yacht, looking out at the stars over the ocean. Victor joined her. "Thinking deep thoughts?" he asked. Emma nodded. "I'm thinking about how much we miss when we judge books by their covers." "Most people will never learn that lesson," Victor said. "Then I'll have to keep reminding them," Emma replied with a small smile. "Starting with my first magazine interview next month." "You're going public?" Victor asked, surprised. "I thought you valued your privacy." "I do," Emma said. "But maybe my story can help change things. Not just for me, but for all the quiet, brilliant people who get overlooked." Victor raised his glass. "To changing the world, one prejudice at a time." As the yacht sailed under the stars, Emma felt a new sense of purpose. She had come on this trip expecting only business connections. Instead, she had found something more valuable: her voice. 6 months later, Emma's face appeared on the cover of Business Leader magazine. The headline read, "The Power of Being Underestimated: How Emma Chen Built the Billion-Dollar Company While Staying True to Herself." The cover photo showed Emma in her usual simple clothes, without fancy styling or heavy makeup. She looked directly at the camera with quiet confidence, exactly as she was. Powerful not because of how she looked, but because of who she was.